Today, it's all about collard greens, the soul food staple that's been on family dinner tables for generations. I don't know about everybody else, but growing up, my dad used to make glory greens right out of the can. Today, it feels like we got a million different options, but you guys are in the right spot because I'm going to show you how to make gumbo greens and traditional greens. All right, so whether you're making the traditional version of collard greens or gumbo collard greens, it all starts with a good stock. We're gonna get the party started with onion, garlic, smoked turkey. If you're in the pork camp, you can use ham hocks, whatever you like. Today we're using turkey. We don't piss off the pork patrol too bad. Now, growing up, I used to eat collard greens fresh out of the can. Let me know in the comments if you guys ate glory greens growing up. But that's what my dad used to make. A little vinegar, a little hot sauce, some seasoning. That was our greens until I, became a little bit older and started to cook for myself. Occasionally, obviously, I'll go to some friends' houses and have what we all know today as delicious collard greens, but glory held me down most of my life. All right, so for the stock, we're gonna build flavor right out of the gate. We need onion, we need garlic, we need smoked turkey. I'm gonna throw some chicken bouillon in there. Basically building a flavorful broth that's gonna braise our collard greens. We're also gonna use that broth for the gumbo. So speaking of recipes, you can find both of these, all the ingredients, step-by-step directions at MrMakeItHappen.com. So when it comes to collard greens, there's a number of different opinions on how to clean and prep them. You can get them from the store already chopped up. I'm not a huge fan of that. Or you can do it at home. I'm gonna show you guys how to do that. So we have nice, beautiful collard greens. Number one, you wanna make sure that they're still a good color. You don't want it to be wilted or brown, bruised and aged, look like they're about to go bad. You want them to look nice and healthy like these collard greens right here. Now, if you buy them from the store already cut, you're gonna get a lot of big, thick stems in your collard greens, which isn't the end of the world, but they don't get as tender as the rest of the greens. So if you want even cooking, I recommend removing the stems. Easy way to do that, you can either use your knife or just fold it over the stem and then peel it right off or rip it right off like you see right here. Stem removed. If you want to save that, you can. We're going to discard that today. I saw a restaurant recently do some pickled cauliflower stems with their fried chicken. I think that's genius. So if you're into, saving some money and using all your food, then that's a good way to do it. We're gonna go ahead and clean up these greens. I'm gonna chop them into equal sized pieces, and then we're gonna clean them. We already rinsed them once. After we cut them, we're gonna give them a very, very thorough washing before we start to cook it. All right, after my cameraman fumbled around with the tripod for about 3 minutes, we're gonna go ahead and clean our collard greens. So we have some water in here, which is important obviously for cleaning, but you wanna use a little bit more than just water, especially if you're getting these from somewhere like farmer's market on the side of the road. If you're somewhere in the country like Virginia, like me, around this time of year, you see people selling collard greens. You wanna make sure you thoroughly clean these. We're gonna add a little bit of salt and some vinegar. That's gonna do two things. It's gonna help loosen up any dirt or, particulates that may be coming on the collard greens from the store or from the farmer's market. And then also it's gonna help loosen up any potential bugs that might be on the greens, which if they're real fresh, you might see some. Don't be alarmed. You wanna rinse them 3 or 4 times, hit them with some vinegar and some salt, and then get in there with your hands and just agitate them. When I say agitate them, I mean just move them around. That's gonna knock off any dirt, particulates, anything that you don't wanna eat. So that's what we're gonna do right now. And then we're going to run these under the water a few different times until that water runs clean and clear and there's no issues or anything on your greens that you don't want to eat. All right, guys, so while we wait for our smoked turkey to get it fall off the bone tender in that braising pot, we're going to go ahead and get started on our veggies for the gumbo. That's going to be comprised of what's known as the Cajun Trinity, which is bell pepper, celery, and onion. For me, I like to use 1 green, 1 red just for the color contrast, but use whatever you got. We're going to dice up this onion, our celery, and our bell pepper. That's going to be utilized in our gumbo. We're also going to steal some of that broth from the greens back there to make our gumbo with as well. Again, all the specific measurements and ingredients for all of these recipes can be found at MrMakeItHappen.com. I'll have that linked in the description box as well for you guys. Let me know which type of greens you're planning to make this year for Thanksgiving. Maybe make one style for Thanksgiving and one style for Christmas. All right, guys, so when it comes to gumbo greens, it's all in the name, right? It's basically just regular gumbo, but we're adding collard greens to the party. Delicious. It's genius, whoever came up with it. When it comes to a side dish, though, I only use andouille sausage for mine. If you want to make it more of like a main course or a whole meal, you can add chicken, shrimp, whatever you would typically add to a gumbo. Today, we're treating this like a side dish. andouille sausage only. This is pork. You can use chicken, turkey, beef, whatever you find at the store, whatever is best for your household. Next up for the gumbo greens, it's time to get started on the gumbo portion of the recipe, which gets started with a roux. A roux is a mixture of fat and flour. Today we're using oil and all-purpose flour. 1 cup of each, equal portions. I like to mix it into the pot before the heat comes on. That way I can work out any clumps, lumps, all that good stuff. Make sure nothing's sticking to the edges of my pot. Then apply some heat to it. Now, a roux to some people is a little scary, a little intimidating. I promise it's real easy, just takes a little bit of patience. You want to go ahead and stir it constantly and make sure that nothing's sticking, because that's going to run the risk of, burning your roux. Other than that, if you keep it moving and control your heat or your temperature, you should be in good shape. So we're just going to mix this until we get the color that we're looking for. Then we're going to add our Cajun Trinity, our sausage, our stock. And then once we get the gumbo right where we want it, we add the greens in, cook the greens until they're done. You got gumbo greens. Real simple, real delicious. So as you guys can see, I haven't moved from this spot because you do not want to walk away from a roux. There's different stages. You got the blonde roux, which is like the very beginning phase when you first mix everything in. From blonde, you transition into peanut butter, which is about where we're at right now. Slightly more robust in flavor, a little nutty. And then from there, you go to chocolate. And then final, for like a gumbo, you want to go to a dark roux if you can get it there. The darker you go, the more, high risk you are of burning the roux. So just be careful a little bit. But again, as long as you're working it, the spatula or the whisk, you're not going to burn it. And just don't have your heat too high. Those are the 2 things. Keep it moving. Don't have the heat too high. But we're going for a dark roux right now. So we're getting pretty close. A couple things you want to look out for. If you smell like an intense scent of burnt popcorn, then you might have burned your roux, so be careful there. If you do burn the roux a little bit, it's going to turn the flavor profile a little bit bitter. Depending on how bad you burn it, it may be kind of salvageable, but typically if you burn the roux, you want to start over. Right now, we're approaching a dark roux. We're just passing through chocolate color. So now it's time to go ahead and turn the heat down or off, and I'm going to add in my Cajun Trinity. You want to do this carefully, guys, because you do not want that roux to splatter, because if it gets on you, it's like lava. It's going to burn you. So just be careful when you add the veggies. So once the roux is right where you want it, you add your veggies, you add your sausage. I like to cook that for 3 to 4 minutes to really kind of soften up the veggies and char that sausage a little bit. After that, we're going in with our stock. We're going to add that, give it a mix, give it some time at a high temperature. You want to kind of bring it up to a boil a little bit. That boil is what's going to kind of cook off that roux and thicken things up. Once you do that, it's time to season it up. I'm going with some chicken bouillon powder, my AP seasoning, some Cajun seasoning. You can use filet if you want to at the end, a little cayenne pepper for some spice, and some smoked paprika. Really, you can season it with whatever you like in your gumbo. You can make it as spicy as you want to. We're keeping it pretty moderate on the spice today. So essentially, when I'm making gumbo greens, my goal is to make the best possible gumbo that I can first. Once I have achieved that, it's time to add the greens. So we got some clean collard greens going right into a pot of delicious gumbo. You can't miss. It's already good. Now you're adding collard greens, you got gumbo greens. If your family's never tried this and you're trying to surprise them, switch it up a little bit, this is a good one to do. And we're just going to cook this until the greens are tender, season to taste, and then you're good to go. Again, guys, this recipe and all my recipes can be found at MrMakeItHappen.com. All right, guys, so when it comes to traditional collard greens, you really can season them to your personal preference. If you like them to be a little spicy, you can add more hot sauce, more red pepper flakes. If you like the vinegar flavor, you can add additional vinegar. For me, I like a perfect blend of savory with a little bit of spice. I like to really taste that vinegar a little bit, but not overpowering. And I want to taste the smokiness from the smoked turkey. You can add things like bacon to this too if you want to. We didn't do that today because I didn't feel like pissing off the pork patrol, but we're going in with a little chicken bouillon powder. This is going to add some, enhanced flavor profile to the collard greens. We're also going to go in with a couple tablespoons of hot sauce. The more you want, the spicier you want it, feel free to add a little bit more. About a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar as well. And again, you can add more or less depending on your personal preference. Then we're going in with a pinch of sugar just to balance out a little bit of the bitterness. The more you cook the greens, the less bitter they should be anyway, but I like to add a little pinch of sugar to mine. Then we're going AP seasoning, cover all our flavor bases. This is a good blend of salt, pepper, garlic, onion powder, A little bit of red pepper flakes just for some additional spice. You can add that at the very end if you want to, if you're, you don't want to make things too spicy. Or if you got some guests at the house that don't want it to be spicy at all, you can do hot sauce and red pepper flakes at the end. People can kind of choose their own, amount that they want to add. Going in with a tablespoon of garlic as well. We had garlic in that broth, but I want to really get some garlic flavor in there. And then we're just going to give this a good mix and let this cook down until the greens get tender. And then we're going to taste as we go, adjust to your preference as always. Right at the very end, I'm going to throw in a couple tablespoons of butter. That fat in the butter is going to add a good mouthfeel to the collard greens, similar to what you would get with like bacon fat. But we're not using bacon today, so I'm going with a little bit of butter. Now, my friends, it is time for the moment of truth. Let's find out if the viral hype gumbo greens can compete with generations of delicious collard greens. We're gonna dig in and find out. But before we do that, please take a quick second to subscribe to the channel. Make sure you hit that bell to enable notifications as well. One last reminder, my friends, all of these recipes can be found at MrMakeItHappen.com. Gotta get a bite with the smoked turkey. And plenty of that juice, pot liquor, whatever you want to call it. One thing about greens when I eat them at people's house sometimes is they're too soggy. I like to have just a little bit of a chew. They should be really tender, but not like they've been cooking for 6 days. Those are great. Give me one more bite. I mean, these are classic. You can't really go wrong with this. A little dinner roll, sop up that leftover liquid. All right, gumbo style. Make sure I get some andouille sausage in the party. A little bit more greens. Here we go. I don't know if it's a fair comparison. If we're talking about Thanksgiving, I'm probably going to go traditional. About any other time, this is gonna have to be the winner. It's so flavorful. I love gumbo. Can't go wrong. I'm gonna let the two guys come over and tell me what they think.
My people was the first people that ever made greens. Look it up. It's flavored all the way through from the front end to the back end.
Can't go wrong with that.
Yeah.
I'm going gumbo.
Yeah.